You open a dating app. You swipe through photos. Left, right, left. In half an hour, you've judged maybe 50 people. Each decision takes you less than a second. You think this is something new, something invented in Silicon Valley in the 2000s. It's not. Your brain was doing the exact same thing 300,000 years ago, except instead of a screen, there was a smell. Instead of a photo, a voice by the fire. And the decision you were making mattered a lot more than, would this person be a good date? It decided whether your children would survive. Today we're going to look at how our ancestors actually chose a partner. And it's not what you think. Let's start with why pairs needed to stick together in the first place. About 4.4 million years ago, there was a species called Ardipithecus ramidus. Not human yet, but not quite ape either. And anthropologist Owen Lovejoy at Kent State University, studying its skeleton, noticed something strange. The males of this species had small canine teeth, almost as small as the females. In most primates, canines are weapons. Males use them to fight over females. Small canines mean one thing: fighting had gone down. Lovejoy proposed an explanation that flipped the whole story of why humans stood upright in the first place. His hypothesis is called the provisioning model. A male who stood up on two legs freed his hands. Free hands could carry food. Food could be brought back to a female and her offspring, who stayed somewhere safe. In exchange, the female mated with him. Not with just anyone. It was a deal. Food for Fidelity. And that deal, if Lovejoy is right, is one of the reasons you're walking on two legs right now. But here's the part worth understanding immediately. The pair wasn't about romance. The pair was an economic partnership that happened to be an extraordinarily good survival strategy. Now, how exactly did they choose who to make that deal with? Picture the night. A fire. Someone you're interested in sits beside you. You're not thinking about their Instagram profile. You're breathing in their scent. And that's not a metaphor. That's literally what was happening. In 1995, Swiss biologist Klaus Wedekind ran an experiment that would later become known as the sweaty t-shirt study. He asked 44 men to sleep in the same t-shirt for 2 nights straight. No deodorant, no cologne. The shirts were then sealed in boxes, and 49 women took turns smelling them and rating how pleasant each one was. Every participant's genes for the major histocompatibility complex, or MHC, had already been tested. These are the genes that build your immune system. The result: women consistently preferred the scent of men whose immune genes were the most different from their own. This isn't random, and it isn't about aesthetics. The more the immune genes of two parents differ, the wider the range of defenses their child inherits. The body can, quite literally, smell genetic compatibility. And here's the strange part. Women on hormonal birth control showed the opposite pattern. They were drawn to similar genes, not different ones. It was as if the body switched into a different mode of evaluation, as if it already assumed pregnancy wasn't on the table. This is running inside you right now. Every time someone just smells good, to you for no reason you can explain. You're not choosing consciously. Your body is calculating immune system compatibility faster than you can think about it. And now, the twist that flips everything you thought you knew about love forever. In the 1980s, anthropologist Helen Fisher, working out of the American Museum of Natural History, pulled UN data on divorce from 62 cultures around the world. She was looking for a pattern. She found one. The peak of divorce isn't at year 7, the way the popular 7-year itch myth claims. The peak is year 4, almost everywhere, across wildly different cultures, eras, continents. Fisher compared this to animal behavior. About 90% of bird species form lifelong pairs. Among mammals, only about 3%. But in both birds and mammals, there's a pattern. A pair often stays together for exactly as long as it takes to raise one offspring to the point where it can more or less fend for itself. For humans, that window is roughly 4 years. A child is weaned and then passed into the care of older siblings and relatives in the group. Fisher's theory: the human pair wasn't originally designed by nature to last forever. It was designed for a cycle, long enough to raise one child. After that, either you stayed together for new, non-biological reasons, or you separated and tried again with someone else, giving your future children genetic variety. That doesn't mean people couldn't love each other for decades. They could, and they did. But that pull that drags you out of a relationship right around year 3 or 4 isn't a character flaw. It's a very old program. inherited from ancestors for whom 4 years was exactly the length of time their offspring needed. And here it's worth pausing to take apart a myth that almost everyone who talks about this subject repeats. The myth goes, ancient humans practiced strict monogamy, one man, one woman, forever, as nature intended. That's not quite right, and the actual anthropology is far more interesting than the myth. Relationship structures among hunter-gatherers varied, not one model, but a whole spectrum. In some groups, stable pairs really did dominate. In others, for example, some groups in the Amazon basin, there was a belief in what anthropologists call partible paternity, the idea that a child could inherit traits from multiple men a woman had been with during pregnancy. This wasn't chaos. It was its own coherent system, one that some anthropologists argue increased a child's odds of getting support from several men in the group instead of just one. In other groups, polygyny showed up, one man, several wives, especially if he was a particularly successful provider. Elsewhere, there were practices where a woman moved through several long-term unions over the course of her life, and that was simply the social norm, not a scandal. There was no single natural model. There was flexibility, shaped by the specific environment, the specific climate, the specific amount of available resources. And that's actually a reassuring thought. The fact that your relationships don't look like a movie doesn't mean something is wrong with you. Diversity is the human norm. So what was actually happening around the fire when two people were sizing each other up 300,000 years ago? The body of the person next to you was evaluating your scent, and through it, your genes. Your ability to provide food or care for offspring was being read through how you carried yourself, what you brought back to camp, how you treated others. The nighttime conversations, the same fireside stories every anthropologist talks about, weren't just entertainment. They were an audition. You were showing how smart you were, how interesting, how safe you'd be for future children. None of this was cynically calculated. Nobody sat down and did the genetic math in their head. It just happened, at the level of instinct, shaped over not just thousands, but hundreds of thousands of years. Today you sit with a phone in your hand, swiping through photos. It feels like you're rationally evaluating a person, height, job, interests in the bio. But part of you is still searching for that scent by the fire, still calculating genetic compatibility you're not even aware of, still ready to stay for 4 years, and still capable of walking away when an ancient timer goes off that you never knew existed. The dating app is just a new fire, a screen instead of flames. But the fire inside you, the one that decides who's right for you, is burning exactly the way it burned 300,000 years ago.